Hi, my name is Becca. Welcome back to Raising Them Simply. Here we share all about our secular homeschool life as a family of 5. And today we're going to chat just a little bit about our prehistory unit study from Build Your Library that we did for part of our history this year. If you are new here, we have a second grader, a preschooler, a toddler, and another one on the way. I am also a part-time working mom as a nurse, and so this channel is all things homeschool and how we make it work for our family. So if that interests you at all, please hit that subscribe button so you are notified of future videos. But let's jump into it. So first disclaimer, if I sound sick, it's because I am. We were all hit with some sort of bug over this last week. I'm starting to feel much better today, but I sound nasally still. You can still hear it in my voice. So I did not want to go another week without posting a video for you guys. So we're just going to work through it here. But part of our history that we were doing this year was before we went into ancient civs. I wanted to do the prehistory unit study. My son was really excited to be learning about dinosaurs and some other topics like that. So we went ahead and did this. This is a 6-week unit study from Build Your Library. It is a PDF curriculum. I just went ahead and spiral bound and printed it myself. So just so that you're aware, it's PDF. Nothing actually gets mailed to you. Overall, I really did like this curriculum, but there are some pros and cons that we're going to get into and some things that maybe I would do differently in the future. I do like, also, if you are not aware of what we decided to use for our curriculum picks this year, I will leave a link down below to show you that video, because I do more detailed flip throughs. I'll link those down below as well. But they do give you the required book list and the optional book list. One big thing that I did not like, we did do Build Your Library, the kindergarten level, where you went around the world. And they had the optional books divided by different sections. These are not divided out. So when I went onto our library's website, I just requested every book that was within our system that I could get. But it does not state anywhere in the curriculum where you would actually read them. And I did not realize until over a week into the curriculum. And then I realized that I had all these books that we checked out that we weren't reading. And so I went through the list again and realized we were missing them. In the future, I would go through and look at the different topics, and I would write here. They have these weekly schedules. I would write in the optional book in here and what to read, to help it make it easier for me, because as a busy mom, I'm just not always checking the shelf. I want something to tell me specifically when to read that book. So that is one thing that I wish I would have done differently, but I do like that they offer additional books. One thing that my son did say was that for this book, there's only one chapter book. I will take it off the shelf here, which is Maroon, the Winter Caves. My son is 7. He wishes that there were more chapter books for this. Granted, this is only a 6-week unit study. We are year-round homeschoolers, and we homeschool around my schedule. So this actually took us about 2.5 months. Excuse me. This did take us about 2.5 months to get through this entire 6-week unit study. But he wishes that we would have done more chapter books. Now, when it does come to this chapter book, and I've seen other people talk about how they wish they would have pre-read some of the book selection choices for Build Your Library, because the biggest critique that I hear about for Build Your Library is that there's a lot of mature topics that are brought up maybe sooner than other families would want to do that, and they were only able to catch it after they started reading it, or they just happened to pre-read it before they did the curriculum. I did not pre-read this book. There are a few sensitive topics in here. Spoiler alert. Maru's dad does go on a hunt with her uncle, and he was in unfamiliar territory and he fell off a cliff, and then her uncle had tried to save him as he was falling, and then he fell down as well. The uncle did break his arm and hurt his leg, but the dad kept tumbling down and he landed face first on the ground, and he did pass away. Maru and her brother are the ones who found them when they did not return to base camp. After hunting, they went and searched for them. And so they do talk about her finding her dad. It mentions how she saw blood and stuff like that, and that how it scared her because the spirit scared her. I will say this was not something that was inappropriate for our family, and it did not scare my son. My preschooler was around when we were reading it, but she wasn't really listening. But if that is something that is sensitive to you, you might want to find a different chapter book for this unit study. We have had some family deaths in the last couple of years, several of them. And so maybe that is what it's helped, because it's not a foreign concept to my son. But even knowing like of how he died and stuff like that, it did not scare my son at all. So I would take that with what you will, and just know if you have a more sensitive learner that you might want to pick a different chapter book, or maybe broach the topic and speak with your child about it before you go into this book. Now, this is prehistory, so it does go through the Big Bang. It goes through the first bacteria and all that stuff, all the way through evolution of man. It does do more of a heavy emphasis on human evolution than it does with dinosaurs and other things. They do talk about dinosaurs, I believe, for 2 weeks in here, or we stretched it out at least longer, so that way we could do extra activities and stuff like that. But just so you know, this is a heavier emphasis on the human evolutionary part. I know that Blossom and Root has a 3rd grade science, which does more on the dinosaurs. So there are people who have combined Blossom and Root with this. So that's an option too. Just know if you have a kiddo that is really into dinosaurs, you might want to add some additional resources to it. At first, when we started doing this prehistory, it was slow. And looking back now, I think that it's just a hard concept to grasp for a young child, these bacterias and things like that. And there was not a lot of hands-on activities in this book or in this curriculum for us to be able to kind of grasp that concept a little bit more. So looking back, I might have tried to find more videos. We might have done more like Play-Doh activities and stuff like that. I think because the last time we did Build Your Library, it was the kindergarten one, and there was tons of hands-on activities. But because this is a 6-week unit study, there wasn't as much of those things available. So when we do this again in the future, because we will at some point come back to this, I do think we're going to add some more hands-on activities and stuff like that to kind of help this along the way as well. Another thing that I do want to mention, because this is a Charlotte Mason inspired curriculum, so they have copy work and dictation and stuff like that. The copy work is way more advanced than what we were ready for in our school. So for example, for week 5, which I believe is the first week for copy work, was week 4 or week 5. And this one says, Maru watched as old mother put her face close to the blackened wood in the hearth place and blew gently. Her warm breath woke the sleeping fire. A thread of scarlet quivered in one of the pieces, then vanished. We are not at that stage for our copy work. So I ended up finding a different sentence for him to be able to do. I wrote it up on our whiteboard, and then he just wrote it on his paper. Copy work is not something that my son is very strong in yet, that we're continuously working on. Excuse me. So that is another kind of thing there. I will say though that once we hit the dinosaurs through the rest of it, my son really did enjoy this curriculum. He liked the videos. He loves Maroon the Winter Caves. He loves the different books and stuff that were incorporated in this. I will pull down, one of the books is When We Became Humans, and he loves all of the colorful illustrations. And they do really go into detail in a way that he can understand it. There's also When Whales Walked was also part of this curriculum as well, which follows the same kind of format. He really did like that book. When it comes to the Fossils for Kids book, this one was kind of hit or miss. It's a lot of words and definitions. We didn't honestly go through all of this, but there were some parts in here that were beneficial. But I will say, if we were to do this again, because we have this book, we will use it, and we'll just pick through what we want to use. But if I had to choose a book not to purchase, this would be one, and I would just look up this stuff online. The World History Encyclopedia, the Usborne version, I really do like this book, and I like that it goes through all of history. So we will continue to use this. But the pictures are also really well done. And my son really enjoyed this book as well. So this was another good book that I really did enjoy for this curriculum. There's one more book I want to show you. Just gotta grab it at the top of the shelf. Outside of Maru and the Winter Caves and the World Encyclopedia book, this one was probably my son's favorite. This is Life's Story. The story of life on Earth from beginning up till now. It is done like it is a play. And so it starts with this point in history. Like, this is where the universe is. It's what it looked like as the sun was formed and all the planets were forming. How Earth was formed. What it looked like at first. And once you get to actually being on Earth, they do it in the same spot on the planet. This one, my son just really enjoyed. He found it fascinating, and we've talked about before, because we are located in Minnesota, and Minnesota used to be completely underwater. I believe there was 10 miles of ice above us when it was the Ice Age. And so we have a lot of fossils and stuff where we are. And so we've talked about this stuff before, and he just found it really fascinating, this entire book. So top 3 books: Life Story, Maroon the Winter Caves, and the Encyclopedia for World History. When it comes to the activity notebooking pages, we only did a handful of these. So for the vocab page, I will say at the beginning, these are going to be for the words that my son was not as familiar with. I would go ahead and write down the definitions. They do put the words and what you're going to focus on in the teacher's guide for that day. And I'd write the definitions down, and then we would go back every few days and quiz on the words. So we've got fossils, evolution, Big Bang Theory, Pangea, cells, vertebrae, reptile, amphibians, tetrapods. When it got toward the end, we were not doing the different definitions just because he was aware of those terms already. So that was something that we did not finish. My son, and we've talked about here before, he is not a notebooking type of kid. He is very, very artistic, and he will draw things all day long. But the moment you tell him that he needs to draw something, he does not want to do it. So we started with him drawing. So he drew like the first amphibians, and then I had him explain what we learned about, and then I would write it down. Then it got to the point where we were just doing oral narration. So I would just have him tell me what he learned, and I would write it down. So for the Jurassic period, we wrote down the first dinosaurs appeared. Some evolved to have longer legs. This was helpful because they can walk and run faster. Some started walking on two legs, and their legs became more under their body instead of on the sides. So he would just tell me what he learned, and I would write it down. They did have some other activities, like he had to, there was a page that he had to cut the fossils and then paste them in the correct category. This, I did have him actually write down where the different continents were and stuff like that. I wish that there was more hands-on things that weren't coloring worksheets and cutouts and stuff like that in here. I know Homeschool Together did do this curriculum, and it combined it with the Blossom and Root prehistory science, and they did a lot more hands-on stuff. Just as a busy working parent, I did my best to set up the curriculum and everything before the school year started, which I'm so thankful I did, because when that first trimester fatigue happened, there was no way I would have been able to do as much as what I did before. But I should have looked through the curriculum more and found different things that we could have added. But you know what? It's always hindsight is 2020, right? And I know we're going to reuse this curriculum again overall. Overall, though, I really did enjoy this curriculum. I know we're going to be using it again when my preschooler is a little bit older, and then with my oldest, we will just add additional resources just to make it more up to his level. But I really did enjoy this, and I know that we're going to be using it again. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps support my channel. Lets me know what kind of videos you like to see here. Please leave a comment down below. Let me know if you use this curriculum, if you added any additional resources, if it was a hit or miss for you, or if this video was helpful. I would really love to know. Please hit that subscribe button. It is a free way for you to be notified of future videos, and I can't wait to catch you guys next time. Bye.